I said, yeah, go look at my highlight reels. Welcome to the Aussie Game podcast. We're here for another week to talk all things Australian football. And I'm going to throw over to Mopa because he's got something special to bring us right from the top.
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone, and good evening, Chief, and good morning to those in other countries. Yes, Chief, number 66 symbolises balance. It symbolises harmony, love, and spiritual growth. And number 66 is what we toast tonight. And it's so exciting. Another Australian gets on the score sheet tonight. Number 66, Irankunda, mate, what a free kick. And he opens his account and taking the lead off his fellow compatriot Segajic Superman last week. What another great story for Australian football, Chief. We're on fire over there in the championship. Some exciting news. Also, too, Chief, we'll cross over to the women under 23s getting the trophy during the week on Tuesday night, and the 16s picking up 2 from 2 straight into the semi-finals of their championship. And also, too, Han Cup, Chief. We'll talk about Moppa's tips, Chiefs tips this week. Moppa's made the comeback and some really awesome games overnight and during the week, and some exciting news from the NPL clubs in Melbourne making their charge, Chief. We could have a possibility of a super final. So I'll cross back to you, son. Let's not spoil the moment. Number 66, talk me through it. I love your comment. Give it to me, mate. What a night.
Yeah, as you said, mate, there's heaps to get through this evening, but of course the big news is Nestory Irankunda, who scored a stunning free kick in Watford's 1-1 draw with Swansea overnight. Now, A-League fans have seen similar strikes as they've been watching Irankunda progress over the years, but it's probably something new to the English fans and the Watford fans, and not sure that he had that in his locker, but he did last night. He stepped up with plenty of confidence, and he was quoted in the interview post-game saying that he asked me a couple of times, referring to his captain, Musa Sissoko, he asked me a couple of times, are you sure you can take free kicks? I said, yeah, go look at my highlight reels after I just put it into the top corner. So it certainly is another one to add to his highlight reel, and it was just an amazing game from Irankunda. Before that, he did look very dangerous. He was brought down several times as he drove forward. He even had a chance not long after he scored. I think he was one-on-one with Cam Burgess, and I was expecting him to shift it onto his left or his right and have a crack. But he showed actually a bit of maturity in those passages and just kind of laid the ball off and brought his teammates into action. But all the talk was about that free kick and what a stunner that was. And as soon as it went in, you saw the socials just go off and the video clips get shared around and everyone was pumped up to see it.
Yeah, 10:05 Eastern Standard Time. The phones were pinging everywhere, Chief. I loved it. Oh, what a great story. What a great start. Isn't it so good that we get to talk about all these great things after another great weekend of football?
Yeah, it's exciting. Like I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, just like on those Saturday nights, loving the early kickoffs for the championship games, and because so many of our Aussies are involved, we do get to see, at 8:30 or just before the lineups come out, and everyone has a look and who's in and who's out, and now plenty of that discussion happens straight away, and it just builds nicely into the weekend. But the talk was all about Irankunda last night. He got taken off early in the second half, so that's probably something to do with some fitness and bringing him up to match speed. But he did what he needed to do in the time that he had on the field, and Watford fans can look forward to many more moments like that as he goes on throughout his Watford career. He's signed there on a long-term deal, so hopefully they're going to see plenty more of that going forward. But as I said, we've seen it before in the A-League, and he's just proving that he's very much up to standard in that competition as well.
Oh, mate, so exciting too with the Soccer Ashessquad shortly to be announced. And we've got Segajic Superman, Segajic scoring for fun at Portsmouth. We've got Irankunda scoring. We've got Sammy Silvera having a blinder for Borough, 3 out of 3. Oh, mate, it's looking hot. I love this. Youth is coming through. How fantastic. All right, Chief, let's get right into it, though. We've got to go across the board. There's lots of our heads were spinning last night. There's lots to talk about. let's break it all down. Overseas England, we start. We spoke about Irankunda and the 1-1 draw with the Rock, Cameron Burgess's Swansea. Let's head to the other teams, Chief. Who else in Australian football is playing overseas?
Can I just jump back to Irankunda? I've got one quick question for you before we jump into all the other action.
Oh, I love your
What's a
questions.
what's a successful season for him? I kind of penned him in as 20 combined goals and assists this season. He's got 2 already. He picked up an assist last week. He's obviously opened his account with a goal. What does that look like for him, do you think, across the season? Stats only tell part of the story, but for him to look back on a successful season for Watford, what does that look like for him?
For my personal view, 40 games plus. I think the goals will come, whether that's 10, 15 or 20 more assists. I think 40 games is what I'd be aiming for. The championship offers it. The cups offer it. I just want to see him playing. I know he's still plenty of time. He's still young and 20. So obviously there's the games for me is the big one, especially leading in a World Cup, Chief. We talked about it. He was at Bayern Munich on loan last year as well. So I just want to see if we can get 40 games under his belt leading into a World Cup. I think job done. I think the rest will look after itself. He is a goal scorer. I think if he can chip anywhere in between 10 plus, I think that's just going to be tick tick for me. And you've seen him already creating assists for Watford. I think they've got a competitive team, so I think they'll go pretty close to those playoffs. It's going to be pretty tight though, but I think he'll make a charge. And wouldn't it be great to see Watford around that space, challenging and just being competitive? So for me, 40 plus, Chief, 40 plus games.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that train of thought as well. Not so much the return of goals and assists, but those games in his legs and just building himself up. So yeah, fair call on that one. Let's just put a bow on that game. Cameron Burgess was on the other side of the pitch. He played 90 minutes for Swansea. He was very good for Swansea actually throughout. He won the most duels in the match and rock solid as he usually is. So we expect him to be in that Soccer squad next week. Let's jump over to another one you mentioned before, Sammy Silvera. He continued his strong form at Borough. So he's made it 3 from 3 to start the season, or Borough has, sorry. So they're pretty close to the top of the table. Might just be missing on
Second,
goal
mate.
difference.
Yep, second.
Yeah. And yeah, he was again deployed at left wing back and won the most duels in the match. So yeah, another solid nod from Rob Edwards, his manager, to put him into that left back spot, and he's certainly not disappointing him.
Yeah, they're equal with Stoke, Chief, and as you said, the goal difference is only the ones that are dividing them. They're the only 2 undefeated teams in the championship. So great start, Sammy Silvera. Absolutely awesome news. We've been talking about him every week, and I love it. 3 from 3 from Borough, and that's a little bit of a surprise to me. I would have thought they would have had a bit of a dip, but obviously they're flowing nicely. So well done, Sammy Silvera and Borough. What about Derby, Chief? We've got Callum Elder.
Yeah, 90 minutes for him. They played in the Friday night game, so that was Saturday morning Australian time. 90 minutes for him in a 1-1 draw with Bristol City. Unfortunately, Lewis Miller wasn't in the starting lineup and wasn't used off the bench. Blackburn picked up an important win that had 2 losses to start the season, so they picked up a 3-0 win over Hull, but Lewis Miller not used. Still working into the squad, I'd say, for him. So, yeah, give him a bit of time. Over at Frank Lampard's Coventry, they had a massive win over QPR, 7-1. Rafael Borges Rodriguez, he had 35 minutes off the bench. Had quite an impact as well, which is very pleasing to see. Picked up an assist and also created the most chances in the match. Now, he'd be a very outside shot at the Socceroos squad, but wouldn't be surprised if Popa's got him on his radar. He's still pretty young and still developing, but certainly exciting. We spoke about him last week as well. Certainly making the most of the time that he's getting at Coventry.
Yeah, Frank Lampard doing a great job at Coventry, mate. They're absolutely humming. 7 points, sitting third, and what a massive victory, 7-1 there against. We know QPR, who are struggling with only 1 point this year, but has a number of Aussies on the books, Chief. But unfortunately, I'm surprised when I sat on there and it was 5-0 at half time. I thought, oh, the boys are going to get a run. But for some reason, looks like there's a bit of chaos in QPR. Daniel Benny and was unused on the bench, and Jalen Pearman wasn't in the squad. Luckily, Keely Adamson got on, playing 23 minutes, but it was pretty much the game was already over. So well done to
Well,
Keely.
I'm gonna say he didn't do anything wrong. There was 7 goals down already
Yeah,
by the time he came on, so
yeah, he
what do
shut
you
it
do from
down.
that
Yeah,
point? So
starting
yeah,
next week.
you
That's what you
prevented
do.
you prevented the 8th, ninth, and 10th, so yeah, well done. Massimo Luongo, he got his first league start for Millwall and he played the full game in their 1-0 win over Sheffield United. So pretty impressive in the midfield from the reports that I saw. So well done to Mass. Segic, your Superman, he was unable to maintain his goal scoring form. Pompey drew 1-1 with West Brom. So yeah, he was withdrawn in the 85th minute. Tommy Waddingham got 34 minutes off the bench. Hayden Matthews unused. Jacob Farrell not included in the squad again. But look at their form is going to be hard to keep up from Segic. One thing I did notice he's had kind of limited touches in the last couple of games. So not sure if it's the service that's around him or how he gets more involved in the game. But certainly when he's on the ball, he seems to create things. But whether he can go looking for it a bit more, I'm not sure.
Yeah, West Brom, one of the favourites to go up, Chief, to, yeah, very strong team. I think it was a good result for Pompey away from home, or 1-1. That's, and again, getting more game time there. Love to see, I was excited, Thomas Wenningham getting 34 minutes off the bench. I think that's really impressive. But obviously, Hayden Matthews, as you said, has got a bit of a challenge, unused sub, and Portsmouth signed midweek another central defender that looks
Yeah,
like
yeah, they did.
he could possibly start, Chief. He is a very high level central defender, 27 years of age. So obviously, Portsmouth intentions from me once he settles in. Hayden Matthews definitely got some competition. But as I said, Chiefs, the championship's long, it's deep, it's 46 games, there's cups. I think he'll still get game time, and he's only young, so I just hopefully he can just play a bit part and build into it. All those boys are young as, so plenty of time for him. I think Portsmouth's building a nice squad.
Yeah, Waddingham got 20 minutes last week, and yeah, it seems to be kind of getting more and more game time off the bench, which is really pleasing. We posted on socials when that new defender signed about Matthew's chances, and one of the Pompey fans actually came back to us and did kind of remind us that it is a work in progress and it is a long-term picture for Matthews, which is a good point. So yeah, he'll continue to build into that squad, which is
Yeah,
very good.
I don't think it's going to harm his Socceroos chances. Popa likes him, yeah, and he's been, playing for the Socceroos as well. So I think he'll be in the squad, Chief. No concerns there. I think he's at the right level to continue to progress.
Well, remember he got put straight into that game against Bahrain. That was his debut. So tough, hostile environment. Popovic wasn't afraid to throw him in there. So yeah, he certainly likes what he can do. Unfortunately, he was injured for the other windows, but yeah, I'd expect him to be in that squad, and if not, there'd be a valid reason as to why he's not. So yeah,
Yeah. And
looking
then he
forward to
just with the Pompey fans too, the defender was Josh Knight. He's from Hanover in the Bundesliga, Hanover 96.
yeah. All right, let's jump across to MK Dons. Gethin Jones, he's had a couple of games. So he played 90 minutes and grabbed an assist in their 1-1 draw with Crawley Town midweek and followed it up with 61 minutes in a 2-1 win over Newport County. Joe Gauci, do you want to touch on this one, mate? We spoke about him in a bit of detail last week.
Yeah, so obviously it was an unused sub during the week where Port Vale conceded two late goals, losing 2-1 to Stevenage in League One. But he got his full debut last night against Doncaster at home. But unfortunately, Port Vale went down 1-0. They dominated the game too, Port Vale. They should have won. Unfortunately, the only shot on target was the goal for Doncaster. 6 shots, only one on target, and that was the goal. So very little he could do about the goal they conceded. But he's starting, so that's the main thing, straight into the side. So obviously that's a good sign for Joe. And there was a lot of talk about a lot of our keepers during the week, Chief. A lot of our fellow counterparts writing some stories about our problem situation with not many playing. So Joe's got one game under his belt, and hopefully that'll continue, obviously, in Port Vale in League One.
Yeah, I think I watched the highlights of the game, and yeah, there's pretty much nothing you could do about the goal, and just one of those things. So, no reason to be dropped for the next week, and yeah, expect him to be starting in their next game. As you mentioned with the keepers, it was an issue, but Gauchi's found a club now. Izzo back playing. Matty Ryan, there's plenty of rumours around him. Seems to be getting closer, but seems to be linked with a different club every day. So yeah, at least it's we've got some of the keepers playing now, which is great to see.
Definitely, definitely. All right, we'll keep moving on, Chief. Lots more to talk about.
All right, let's go to Wigan. Tyrese Francois, he played 90 minutes in a 2-2 draw with Rotherham. So he's been anchoring their midfield there at Wigan. Had another solid game, which was nice to see. Plymouth Argyle, Caleb Watts, they got their first points of the season. So it was in 90 minutes for them. They beat Blackpool 1-0, so good for Watts there. Ashley Mena Brewer, he was an unused sub in the 1-0 loss to Leicester. It was very nice to see, the WSL not too far away, and our Arsenal, our obviously Champions League winning Arsenal team there, back in action in a friendly with Spurs. So yeah, captain Steph Catley, she got the armband, she got an assist, and Kyra Cooney Cross got some time in a 4-3 friendly loss to Spurs. Caitlin Ford got a goal in 27 minutes off the bench. And then for Spurs, obviously we've got a few over there too. Claire Hunt and Charlie Grant both started for Spurs. So yeah, exciting for those players as we build into the WSL season.
Yeah, Chief, and just quickly note for the Arsenal and Tottenham fans, they obviously they played at Spurs the other night, and now they're playing at Arsenal tonight. That game kicks off at midnight in the second friendly. They're doing a home and away Arsenal versus Tottenham in the women's football friendly. So they'll be back in action tonight at midnight. Over to Scotland, Chief. What do we got? Let's start with the boys, Ryan Strain and Zach Sabsford. What is the update for those boys for
Yep.
Dundee?
Unfortunately, both out with injury at the moment, so they missed the Dundee United's 2-1 loss to Kilmarnock. I think both of them are kind of a few weeks away at least. Sapsford didn't look too bad, but then the update from their manager seemed to be that he's going to miss kind of 4 to 6 weeks. So he's probably got at least one of those out of the way. So I'd say you'd all but rule him out of the Soccer Squad. He was looking good for that, but yeah, not a chance now, unfortunately. And he might have to look for those further windows later in the year. We had an all Aussie clash in Scotland last weekend with Martin Boyle, Jack Iredale. They overcame Ryan McGowan and Teddy Yangi. So Boyle got an assist in his 62 minutes. McGowan and Iredale played full games, and Teddy Yangi got a handful of minutes off the bench. So, and then yeah, overnight they got the Celtic treatment. McGowan and Yangi, unfortunately, they're just going to run away with this league, aren't they, Mopper? Like it's crazy.
Well,
Like I know we've got plenty in Scotland, but you know,
they were hanging in there, but they showed some good resilience at least. It took a while to Celtic to break through, but once they broke through, it was all over. So yeah, but it is looking like that. But I still think at least teams are being competitive against them. There's not this massive blowout. Like Livingston took them a fair way. So I think good on the boys for having a crack there. I know it was all men behind the ball, but that's what you get when you play Celtic. So, but I still think good signs over there in the Scottish Premier League. They will run away with it, but at least teams are competing against them.
I think Livingston, I haven't seen any odds or anything, but I'd imagine they'd be one of the favourites to go get relegated, being one of the promoted teams. So yeah, to be able to hold their own for as long as they could, but yeah, they did succumb and lose 3-0 in the end. And speaking of Celtic, one of our Celtic players might be on the move.
Yeah, Marco Tilio, Chief, it's been reported through the channels that he's been transferred from Celtic to Austria club Rapid Vienna on a loan deal that includes an obligation to buy if he makes 20 competitive starts. So that's just happening in this space at the moment. So I think in the next 24, 48 hours, that should be completely confirmed with obviously 20 competitive starts and obligation to buy. So it'd be very interesting. So I had a little peek at Rapid Vienna and see where they are. They're currently obviously third place. They've only just kicked off. They've 2 wins, 1 draw. They're undefeated on 7 points, 3 points behind Salzburg, and they finished 5th last year on 27 points. That was one because they break the competition up at the end, but they had 12 wins, 8 draws, and 12 losses. So a bit of a just off the top 3 or 4 team. So we should see plenty of football looking at their lineup there. So I think 20 is a fair probably standard. I definitely think you'll get 20, and then obviously you'll have the obligation to buy him at the end if he chooses to sign. But obviously a loan deal there for Tilio looks like it's a sealed deal.
What do you make of the move? Going to a club like that, going to a league like that, is that good for a player like Tilio?
Well, I looked at Celtic and
I
they've
mean,
sold
look,
some.
it's better than sitting on the bench at Celtic or being out of the squad, for
Yeah,
one.
Celtic's a bit thin though. They've sold a couple. They've sold a winger. They've sold a striker. So if there was ever going to challenge, it was going to be this year. Rogers has been very upset about the lack of signings coming in, especially with their Champions League campaign, which they stumbled 0-0. And obviously, Tilio, I thought he was getting a couple of early games, about 20, 30 minutes for Celtic. Yeah, it is a challenge, obviously, being there at Celtic, and I don't mind the old loan option, yeah, because Celtic still, I think they're still undecided on him. Otherwise, I don't think they would have constructed a deal like this. So I think Rapid is definitely a good team to go to. It's a solid league, and I think you'll get plenty of game time, and you'll again, that's what we're after. Yeah, like again, leading into a World Cup year, if he's serious, he can't take the risk of staying on the bench at Celtic and maybe being down those lower levels. So, yeah, he had to make the move, and I think it suits all parties the way they've constructed this deal. If it's proved correct that it is 20 starts and an obligation to buy, so I think all parties happy, and Celtic keeps that little nibble in there just in case if he does succeed, then maybe they've got that option to still keep him or look at him because I'm telling you now, Chiefs Celtics let go of a few players and they are looking a little bit thin. And it's just been proven in the Champions League, and they've got to go away now at 0-0 to even make the Champions League. So that would be a shock for them. But we're more focused on Tilio. So good move all around, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, like Rapid Vienna, when you talk about the construction of the deal, if it is true, as you said, Rapid Vienna really wanted him. And they basically said that it was Tilio or nothing. So I'd say they'd be pretty keen to get him in there. And if he's going to perform, they'll get that 20 games up so that they get to keep him. Obviously, he has to perform and do well, but they are still trying to qualify for the Europa Conference League. They're 2-1 down after the first leg, but they've got that return leg in this week coming up. They are still in the Austrian Cup as well. So if they are to get through that qualifier and then remain in the Austrian Cup, there's plenty of opportunities for Tilio to get some game time over there at Rapid Vienna, which would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he's at that age now. We said that, like with Joe Gauchi, he just has to start playing. If you're going to be over there, you've got to find a club that you're going to be starting or in that 16 that regular playing, either off the bench or starting. So anyway, we'll watch this space the next 24, 48 hours. That should be sealed very quickly.
All right, last one in Scotland overnight. There was a 3-3 draw between Hearts and Motherwell. Cam Devlin again had a solid game in the midfield for Hearts. He's really had a strong start to this season. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in that Soccer squad for Tony Popovic. Apostolos Stamatoulopoulos on the other side of the pitch had a bit of a disappointing game. He was withdrawn after 69 minutes, couldn't get on the score sheet and couldn't provide any assists. But certainly Cam Devlin showing what he's all about, and that centre midfield's very very interesting for the Socceroos. I'm wondering what kind of we are going to speak about one of the up and comers later on, but I wonder what kind of mix Popovich is going to look for in there.
Yeah, look, if there was anything that we learned from the World Cup qualifiers, it was that transition from the midfield and holding the football against the higher nations, against Japan and Saudi Arabia, stood out like no tomorrow. So you're right. I think the talent is underneath with the age bracket. It's just a matter of whether Popper's willing to, test him out. But I think him and Aidan O'Neill needs some support in there. So I think we've got a couple of ball players there and some tough nuggets in there to break it down. So because it's definitely an opportunity. If we're looking, we just talked about how well our attack, and we haven't talked about our attack for a long time for Socceroos. We've always talked about where the goal's coming from. Well, now the midfield need to step up, and hopefully we can see a couple of these young players try to push their claims.
Yeah, we are as we keep going through our overseas wrap, we are going to touch on a few more of them. But we're going to duck up to Sweden just quickly. 90 minutes and a clean sheet for Matilda Courtney Nevin since she moved there a few weeks back. So her Malmo, they won 2-0 last weekend. And then overnight, they had a big 5-2 win. They're actually up 5-0, but conceded a few late. And she got another 90 minutes. And they're now second in Sweden, and they've actually got a game in hand over first, and they're only 1 point behind. So, very
Yeah,
exciting.
love it. Yeah, no,
Um,
they're on fire, Malmo. They're a difficult team to play, and they're showing it. They make up that makeup game, and they're gonna take the lead hopefully. So we'll watch that space. Nevin, starting every week. How exciting is that for the
yeah,
Matildas?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we spoke about that option there on the left, and yeah, she's certainly showing her worth. So Danielle Gulich, she's also in Sweden. She equalised late for Vitsko GIK in the 86th minute to rescue a point. And then she was substituted a few minutes later. So I know that Gulich is one that you've got kept your eye on, Mopper. So good to see her scoring and getting some game time over there.
Yeah, she had a great assist last week too, mate. She's on fire. She's a tigress in there. She's great. Got a couple of cards too in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Certainly combative.
again, though, starting again, Chief, we talk about the importance of it and building nicely. Yeah, she's made a great move there. Just obviously a mid-range team, but they're high enough in that mid-table where they're safe and getting the reaping the rewards for picking a good club there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's talk Austria. Noah Bodic got 12 minutes off the bench in their 2-1 loss to Lask, and that was last weekend. So, yeah, again, we've spoken about Bodic before. Still working his way into the squad, getting minutes here and there. But, yeah, we'll keep an eye on him. As I mentioned before, Paul Izzo's back. He returned in goal for Randers. They unfortunately lost 2-0 to Brøndby, and we do have another one of our Aussies that's on their way to Brøndby as well, which we'll touch on a bit later. Mo Toure, who's at Randers, he's been linked for the move to Sturm Graz in Austria. So interesting move, and we had a bit of an offline conversation about this during the week. But you thought that maybe not the best move, but yeah, what do you think? I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, look, I suppose he's got to test himself. I just hope he can crack it. It's a bit late. They've already started, so I don't know. He's got some work to do to catch up and then try to break through. I just hope he doesn't. He's not just going to be that squad player, Chief, or what they've got in mind. I like the club. I like the league. I think he'll get hopefully an opportunity. Yeah, look, time will tell on this one. What are your thoughts on it? I'm a bit mixed, but I'm just worried that whether he'll start. That's all.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting age. I think he's 21. So yeah, you do really have to be sure of yourself making a move like that. But if you don't try, you never know, I suppose. So it's just interesting. But we do speak about these kind of while we do have Irankunda and Segic to probably play in behind a striker, but there's still just no one sticking their hand up as that number 9 for the Socceroos. So I just wonder if he can, have a really consistent season for Randers, whether he would be right up there in that mix. So yeah, interesting. We'll keep an eye on this one. Obviously, the transfer window not too long away from closing, so it's either going to get done soon or not at all. So we'll keep
Yeah,
an eye on it.
Sturm Graz won the league last year in Austria, Chief, and currently sit third with 2 wins, 1 loss.
Yeah. All right, Italy, solid performance for Ali Ciccardi. He'll be in that Socceroos squad. His Parma took care of Pescara 2-0 in the Coppa Italia. I've labelled him Mr. Consistent Max Ballard in the Netherlands. Another 90-minute performance he's knocked out for Nac Breda. We both really want to see him in the Socceroos squad. So, yeah, let's hope that comes about. And then Cam Pipion, he was brought on after 19 minutes and then withdrawn after 85. One of those sub-to-sub performances. But in their 2-2 draw with Jean Utrecht. But, yeah, we watched him a fair bit at Brighton in that academy. I'm just pleased he's playing, full-time football and not in academies anymore. So I'm just glad to see him playing.
Yep, no, that's good. Like as I said, that's a good solid 66 minutes there, Chief. And Serrati, just going back to Serrati, Chief, he Parma opens their account. They go away to Juventus, so he's got a tough night as a Socceroos rehearsal there. So good luck to Serrati overnight, and well done to the boys in Holland. They're consistently performing over there, and I totally agree with Cam's move, Chief. I think that's a nice club for him to get some game time. So well done, getting some minutes there overnight.
All right, Hajduk Split, this was last weekend, but they maintained their perfect league record, beating Slaven 3-0. Karacic played 90 minutes. Anthony Kalick was an unused sub. Huge result overnight for St. Pauli, a 3-3 draw against no other than Borussia Dortmund. So huge result for the boys in brown, and Conor Metcalfe got 13 minutes off the bench. So yeah, I saw a quote from their coach during the week. He basically said that the objective this season is to avoid relegation, as it was last season. So they're not getting ahead of themselves, and I think it's keeping their feet on the ground as they look to secure their place in the Bundesliga once again.
Yeah, 2 late goals there for St. Pauli securing the draw. They were 3-1 down, but scored in the 86th and 89th minute. So Metcalfe's obviously played a part in that one, in their little mini comeback. And we've been to St. Pauli, Chief, and they're very passionate fans over there.
Yeah,
So
they are, mate.
that pub would have been rocking last night.
Oh, it's a great place, eh? Funny about it.
Yep.
All right. Elsewhere in Germany, Mainz, Casey Boss not in the squad for either their game last weekend or the Europa Conference League. I assumed that him not being in the squad for the league would have meant that he was in the squad for Europa Conference League, but not to be. So obviously still working his way into the team over there, but I will see if his fortunes change.
Yep, he's certainly set himself up for a challenge, and he's gone to the Bundesliga. He's 21 years of old, so yeah, look, he's going to have a very learning curve year. Let's hopefully he gets some game time or gets on the bench in the next few weeks and see what happens in that space. But he's definitely right in one of the most challenging leagues. So he's testing himself. So good luck with Case, and we'll follow him as we go along.
All right. Where else are we going to? We're staying in Germany.
Yep, Wolfsburg.
Matilda Fryer. She scored in her first game for Wolfsburg, so awesome to see her get on the score sheet, even though it was just a friendly. So big news around her sister that we're going to get to a little bit later, as well. And in Spain, A1 Mobile played 84 minutes in Castellon's 1-0 loss to Real Valladolid.
Also, Chief 2, in the Bundesliga 2 kicked off last night, and FC San, Alana Murphy's team won 2-0. She didn't start, but obviously she's only just got there recently, so they've got off to a good start in the Bundesliga 2-0.
Awesome. One we definitely want to keep an eye on. One of our promising up and coming Matildas. All right, over in the US, our World Cup co-host. Two of our Socceroos had a midfield battle in the MLS during the week. So Aidan O'Neill's New York City FC beat Patrick Yazbek's Nashville 2-1. They were sliding a bit, but they had a big result this morning. Nashville, they thrashed Orlando 5-1. So that was a third versus fourth match. So they've broken away a little bit from Orlando, which is good for them. And then Aidan O'Neill, he had another big performance this morning as well, beat Brad Smith's table-topping Cincinnati 1-0. So yeah, both those guys going well. New York City's a bit lower in that conference, but yeah, Nashville's certainly right up there. So both the boys going well.
And will be interesting in tomorrow morning, Chief, when Charlotte play the Red Bulls, to see whether young Archie gets a start or gets on the bench over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we spoke about Devlin before, but Yazbek and O'Neill, they'll be two that will be very keen on locking up one of those midfield spots for the Socceroos as well.
Yeah, they're consistently playing, so you'd think they'd be in the squad for sure.
DC United, Kai Rolls, they had their back-to-back draws. They're having a rough season, but a Mescalus into Miami, they held 1-1, which is a good result for them. Real Salt Lake, REFPL played the second half for them. They lost 3-1 to Nectar Triandis' new club, Minnesota. So Triandis moved there during the week on a permanent deal from Sunderland. Vancouver versus St. Louis City, Giuseppe Bovalina not in the squad, and Jake Gerwood-Reich was an unused sub. Thomas Muller got his first goal for Vancouver, for anyone who's interested in that one as well.
All right. And in Mexico, Chief, 68 minutes for Emily Gelinac in Montreal's 2-1 loss to Gotham. Emily's been kicking some good goals over there in Mexico, but unfortunately their team went down 2-1.
Yep. Some big games just to wrap up our overseas players. So Arthur Pappas' Cerezo Osaka, they drew 1-1 with Vissel Kobe. Vissel Kobe are currently running third in the J League. And they were leading 1-0 at half time, looking like they might get a surprise win, but unfortunately that one ended in a draw. And a couple of surprise starts, particularly on one side, but Thomas Stang started for Yokohama F. Marinos. He's been going pretty well there. Kept a few clean sheets of late, but Mitch Duke got a surprise start for Makita Delvia. They played out a nil draw. So
And
I don't know.
Chief, can I touch on this game? That team was coming third, and that point was so important because they're equal in the relegation battle in 17th position, while the other four teams lost around them. So they're just surviving at the bottom due to goal difference. So that was a massive point. So well done to the boys playing a part in that one against the third side Macheda, who have been in great form this year.
Yeah, it's been a terrible season for Yokohama F. Marinos, and I think all that matters at this time of the season, I don't think there's too many games to go in the J League. They just need to avoid that relegation so they can reset and start again. Don't forget, of course, Patrick Isnorbo was there toward the start of the season and lost his job. So yeah, it's all about just surviving in the J League for the Yokohama F. Marinos team.
All right, so that's a full wrap, Chief. Any other news?
No, I think all I was going to say was that we've seen a few other players around Europe and other parts of the world popping up that are Australian. So, just a probably a note to our listeners: if there are any players that you think that we're missing, or you think that need a mention doing some good things overseas, please drop us a line and let us know because we like to stay across as many players as possible. But there's heaps of Australians playing everywhere. So, if there are any you think we've missed that need a bit of attention, please let us know and we'll keep an eye on them.
Yeah, and there's a few more playing tonight. So obviously we're just covering Saturday night's games and Sunday morning's games. So obviously we've got a few more which we'll report on next week as well.
All right, mate, we're going to leave it there and we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to talk about our national teams. We'll be back in a sec. If you like our content, why not give us a follow on the socials where we provide lots of updates between podcast episodes. We're most active on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X. So search the Aussie Game and you should be able to find us. All right, let's get back into it. All right, Mopper, let's talk national teams. We've got heaps to touch on for the Matildas full team and also the underage teams, but let's quickly touch on the Socceroos because we're expecting that squad to be announced in the next couple of days as we record on a Sunday night. New Zealand has already announced their squad, but for some reason we like to announce our squad a bit later, a bit closer to these
No
games.
rush.
But I don't really understand, but perhaps just wanting to get through this weekend, see if there's any injuries or see if there's any last minute performances that Popovich wants to see. But let's firstly just touch on New Zealand because they have announced their all white squad. A very strong squad. There's plenty of A League representation, but then you do have a few headliners like Chris Wood, and then also we have Libby Kikachi, who's obviously at Wrexham. We have Ben Old, who's playing over there in England. So a good spread of local talent and some names that are familiar have started in the A League, a few of them. But yeah, Chris Wood's really the headliner. Scored 2 goals in the Premier League last week. So they're going to be a tough opponent, and there's going to be plenty of rivalry on the line. But a strong squad named by New Zealand.
Yeah, super competitive and well done to the All Whites. They've got some players overseas, as you touched on, Chief, and Auckland FC, the league champions from last year as well. I think setting a good tone over there in New Zealand football. Now they've got Wellington and Auckland in there, and obviously the depth is starting to come through. This is going to be super competitive in a two-leg tie, so we're going to have our work cut out. But this is exactly what we need, Chief. We need to see the old rivalry, and because we definitely need some pressure and some tense football. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I think you mentioned a few weeks back now about potentially picking a more local team, but I just don't think, and I think you might have changed your mind since then, to be honest. But I just don't think we can afford to do that with the A League being out of season, and of course we do have teams playing in the Australia Cup and plenty of friendlies going on, but it's not the same as the full season. So I'd like to see a fair few of our players, particularly the ones doing really well over in Europe. And I think there is a case for some of them to stay with their club and how that will benefit them more. But certainly some of these players, like we mentioned, like Irankunda and Irankunda, that have really stepped up, no reason why they can't be in this team. And it just, the fact that, yes, sure, there's a rivalry on the line, there's the Soccer Ashes, but in all effect, it's a friendly. there's no World Cup qualification in this, so it does give him the chance to rotate his squad, to look at a few names he hasn't seen before, or to even just get them into camp and have a look. New Zealand did name only 23 players, and I don't know that there's actually restrictions on what you can do with that. I don't see any reason why, say, 30 players couldn't get picked, just so that Popovich can have a look at them. But I expect him to pick a strong squad, and I really hope that there's opportunities given to those players in form.
Yeah, I think there's been a massive shift, Chief. When obviously we've qualified for the World Cup, we've seen the 20s win the Asia Cup. We've seen the 23s have some really great international friendlies, and we've seen some players that weren't in this squad really step up and put their hand up. And I think the competition for spots in the last few months has gone up incredible. And I think it's backed by the youth and the team and the players picking some better clubs in the last couple of months. I really feel much more momentum leaning towards players playing and looking at the right club and selecting the right process for their own journey. I think too many times I've seen too many poor moves, but I think with the World Cup year, I think players are thinking smarter and sharper. And I think you've seen a shift in the last 3 months, especially with the 20s, showing a lot of young players and young talent that we've got on our books for our country. And I think the pressure's on for a lot of the players that obviously qualify for the World Cup because there's definitely question marks on a lot of spots, Chief, and that's a good sign. That's a good thing to have, and the competition is going to be fierce, which is exactly what we need. And I think a highly competitive New Zealand's only going to add more value to it, especially if we bring in some more hungry players.
I think you mentioned there question marks on the spot, but I don't think it's question marks in the sense of who can we possibly find to put in this place? It's more of we've got too many players in these spots to be able to fit. Certainly, the keepers almost pick themselves, but there's plenty of competition for the back five in the defence. Certainly, a lot of competition for the two holding mids if we're sticking with the same system. Again, the attacking mids, I think there's plenty of players putting their hand up. The striker's probably the one, and if it wasn't for a few injuries, I think Popovich might have some headaches. But now it's almost flipped in the last couple of weeks, where it's like, well, who do I choose in that spot? Who's getting game time? Who's in form? What are we going to do? Because we did mention Sapsford's injured, Touré's injured, Bodish not getting many minutes, Duke not getting all that many minutes. Yangi's a bit kind of hot and cold, probably more cold than hot. So, what do we kind of do in that space, and who do we look for? Or do we potentially just throw in Irankunda up there, up top and see what he can do? Like, give New Zealand something different to look at.
Yeah, look, what's wrong with a false nine as well, Chief? Like, I think with that four across the front line, whether it's 10 and two wingers or just a false nine, or there's so many options, and we've been screaming out for goals in the last 2 or 3 years. It's been a problem position, but I think with Irankunda going over to Watford has really put the spotlight back on Popa. Now he was with the Socceroos, he was getting a little bit of game time there, but obviously just wasn't having the consistency with Socceroos, didn't seem to fit into the system, but really was that just down to his maybe a bit of rustiness because he wasn't getting much game time as well. So I just don't think it was the right timing, but he's gone to Watford, he's building, and the same with Segacic. He was coming off the bench for Sydney, scoring goals, wasn't really out there, was the A-League, but then made the move to Pompey, stepped up again, and has really put pressure on that front line again, which gives us another option. Sammy Silvera, he wasn't playing, and he's been in and out. So again, he's put up his hand, mate. I'm starting championship leader, Middlesbrough, 3 out of 3. How can you ignore that? And then you've got the young ones behind him, yeah. Archie Goodwin going to Charlotte, top goal scorer. Noah Bodic went to Europe. So all these names and have come from in the last 3 to 6 months. It is exciting. I love it. I think it's about time we've been able to develop these kids through, and we're reaping the rewards at the right time. 8 months, 9 months out of the World Cup and building. And I think I can't hide my excitement on this. The 20s win the Asia Cup, like I keep talking about. Here we come, Chief. And this is without talking about Touré and all that, who had a fantastic game against Saudi Arabia. Yeah, oh mate, this is on, Chief. This is on. I'm really pumped. Just get me to the World Cup, mate. I need to be there.
Do you think this squad's going to say a lot about Popovich's approach to these upcoming windows, or do you think that's too kind of narrow-minded just to look at one squad selection and kind of paint the picture for how he's going to approach these things?
Mate, this is the most anticipated squad even prior to the qualifiers. I
Yeah.
just, I just, I think he's just,
And it's because, as
he's,
you said, it's because of the range of players he's got.
yes.
That's the thing. Like, yeah.
And we haven't, like, as I said, it's taken the last 3 to 6 months to highlight it, but it's good. It's just good timing. And it's well done to the development of the clubs. They've all played their part and the players have chosen the right move. And I just think, wow, what an opportunity. And all of them are going to, whether they make this squad or not, they've got Canada and America. They've got a full season with their clubs. They've all got an ample opportunity to really put them out there. Even the guys in America, like that's the co-host World Cup, country, that they're going to get an opportunity. They're going to get a look, and I think this Popa must just be going, yes, this is exactly what I need. And I think yes, the older brigade, like Duke, have done an absolute stellar, fantastic job, and still could play a part. He was awesome in the World Cup qualifiers leading up there. Yeah, he'd done such a, he wasn't even supposed to be picked, and he was a role player, and he, senior head also too. So he offers something as well. So it's not just throw out the old, chuck in the new. It's just, I think, a great balance that we've finally found, and I think I can't talk highly enough as, and especially with Popper's formation, Chief, and it goes back to those two midfielders, which now become the key. Because again, what have we struggled with? Transitioning the ball. If we can find ball players like Ocon and that coming through, oh, mate, again, sorry, I've got to calm the emotions down, but I am super pumped to get some ball players in there and try to feed these guys early. Because if you've seen Irankunda, man, he's on the loose, mate. He's chomping at the bit, and he's I think finally found the right balance and home. And Sigurdsson behind. Wow. Oh, watch out, Chief. This is going to be rapid. I love it.
Yeah, well, what those two are going to benefit from is quick and early ball. That's the key. If we can, as you said, if we can play through those lines quickly, get the ball to them, get them in these one-on-one situations or in behind the defense, that's where they're going to really be dangerous.
Yeah.
So I think you share the feelings of most Australian football fans that are eagerly awaiting this squad and seeing what we can do. So the game's on Thursday, the 4th of September. So as we sit here, it's the 24th of August, so we're less than 2 weeks away. So I would hope that we see a squad no later than Tuesday or Wednesday this week coming up, so that we
I
can
think we'll
actually
get it
prepare.
tomorrow, mate. I think we'll get it tomorrow. I'm
Okay.
hoping so. Yep. Let's just get it out there. I think everyone's played, and I reckon, he would have seen what he's seen. I think he already knows. Yeah, with X and all that highlight in the championship, and that's been great to see. So
Well, as
good.
you said to me during the week offline, like if at the very least we hope he's had those conversations with the players, even if it's not publicly announced,
Yeah,
saying you're in, you've missed out because of this reason, but we'd
yeah,
hope that he's having those conversation.
yeah. And look, if we go and we play against New Zealand, and they're going to provide an absolute competitive battle, it'd just be great to see them in the group, and really just trying to work together and trying to build. So yeah, no, it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. And yeah, if all those Canberra fans out there, get some tickets, because I think it's going to be a cracker. And those New Zealand fans, wow, it'll be a rocking place over there too, mate. It's going to be a good atmosphere.
Yep, yep, can't wait for it. All right, let's move our attention to the Matildas. It was very pleasing to see one of our stars, Mary Fowler. She's back and running at Manchester City after recovering from injury. And we also saw this week that she was selected in the 2024-25 PFA WSL Team of the Year, voted for by professionals across England's top division, and she was named on the list for the first time in her career. So, what a massive accolade for one of our star Matildas.
Yeah, look, yeah, she's a gun, and we just wish her well in as she steps into her preparation. And the acknowledgement and recognition of Mary Fowler just continues to build. Yeah, she's right up there, and to be at a club like Man City, and to get recognised like that, that is hats off to her. That's a tough team she's playing in. Yeah, there's quality everywhere, and she's only going to continue to grow, and she'll be our linchpin heading into the Asia Cup, Chief. And we just wish her well in her fitness, and hopefully she comes back firing for Man City this year.
Yep, a fit Mary Fowler and a fit Sam Kerr, who's also back in training and hopefully looking to start that WSL season, is a huge advantage for the Matildas. So let's hope we see both of them in action. She had a good season last year for Manchester City before getting injured. She was kind of chopped and changed around, as she has been with the Matildas squad. Nobody seems to kind of know the best place to put her, but she's dynamic wherever you put her, and the ability to strike a ball with both feet, and just the balance and the skill, ability to pick a pass. She's just such an all-round great player.
Yeah, so it's just so good to see that. We talk about Steph Catley getting recognised too, in the Ballon d'Or, and then Mary Fowler, another one. Just it's great to see our women, football women, just doing such a fantastic job. So well done, the girls.
All right, let's talk our under 23 Matildas, who had a massive win last week. So they beat Myanmar 1-0 to win the Serenity Cup. And I'm sure that plenty of our Matildas fans would realise that they lost 2-1 to Myanmar in the first game of that tournament. So a bit of redemption, as well as the trophy. Interesting approach from Myanmar, similar to the first game. They looked like they were slowing the game down about 3 minutes into the game. So they obviously had a tactic and tried to roll that one out. But yeah, it was a Holly Furphy goal in the second half that got the job done. So I was really impressed with Georgia Cassidy. She was pulling the strings in midfield. She had great shoot shots from distance as well, but just her ability to get on the ball and spray those diagonals and dictate play. So yeah, we mentioned last week that she signed a 2-year contract extension with Perth Glory. As we will get to our kind of home news soon, but a fair few of the players in this squad have actually signed or re-signed for squad their teams during the week as well, which is very good. Alana Jensevsky, she was really good again. She's got an absolute wonderful left foot. Keane was really quick down the left, and yeah, Furphy was solid as well. So Furphy picked up MVP of the tournament, and Alana Jensevsky was named the tournament's rising star. So yeah, what a performance and what a great tournament from this squad.
Yeah, as we said before, Chief, it's a young squad, and a lot of people would probably look at that cup, but we've got to stamp our mark, and the girls have done that. They've done a fantastic job over there. We've got to raise our level. It's difficult to play in Asia, and to overcome that obstacle mentally in that first game and go through the group undefeated from there. Sensational job. It's so good to see more success, especially from this group, and they get some great exposure over there. That otherwise, they wouldn't be under 23s. The league hasn't kicked off yet, and we're over there competing for cups, and now we've won it. So I think it's a great confidence builder, and a lot of those girls, Western Sydney was represented, Perth, Sydney, Western United, Canberra, Melbourne, Victory, Brisbane, Central Coast, Newcastle. The list goes on. Well done to all those local clubs in developing those girls, and well done to the Matildas under 23s. The girls have really taken their opportunity and taken it to another level. So it's great experience and great exposure, because it is extremely difficult to win over there, and they should be super proud of their efforts. So well done.
And we can't forget as well that these teams that they're playing against, although they might not be the strongest nations, these are their full sides for majority of them. I did see some comments that a couple of teams are missing a couple of their players, but when you compare that to the Matildas, who this team, a few of them have had Matildas call ups, but very few really, and to be thinking that these up and coming players taking on the full national teams of some of those teams that have actually qualified for the Asian Cup next year. It's a huge credit to this team and the players, and what a great opportunity for them to show their worth. And I know that it was one of Joe Monteburo's key points when he was coming into the job as well, to actually not have such a big gap between our under 20s into our full Matildas, to actually bridge that gap and have a squad that's regularly playing, so that he can start to see them play in tournaments and identify the players that he might want to bring into the full Matildas setup.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it was a difficult window. You had the 20s playing in the qualifiers, the 16s are playing in their championship. You've got clubs and competitions already playing in America and Europe. So it was a difficult pool to pick from. And again, on the local scene, it just goes to show how much talent's here. And the full credit to those girls and Australian football for, providing them the stability and the competition to get over there and have a crack and bring the trophy home. As I said, you've got to stamp your authority on these competitions, and those girls need exposure, and they got good exposure over in Asia because it can be quite awkward over there, as I said. But well said, Chief, and well done to the under-23s on their super win.
All right, mate. Do you want to run through the under 16 women's who've also been competing in a tournament and doing really well?
Yeah, the girls have won 2 out of 2, Chief. They had a really tough game in the first one to beating Thailand 2-1. It was really difficult, that contest. It was tough, but a 3-0 win over Singapore. So let's just break it down. Obviously, early on the week, they were holding off a fast finishing Thailand, but they're top of Group C. Match 2 overnight, we just seen, as I said, 3-0 win over Singapore. 2 goals from Western Australian Theodore Michalad. She's a Western Australian star. This one, 2 goals last night, sensational. Playing in the NPL in Western Australia and Perth over there. And 1 goal from Northern Spirit Michalay Garinovic from the Spirit. So that this puts the young Matildas obviously into the semi-final on Wednesday night. The other groups have to conclude overnight. So the other groups are obviously Indonesia, Malaysia, Timor in Group A, and Group B, Vietnam, Myanmar, and Cambodia. So they've got to finish up tonight before we find our opponents. But I think that's a good start. That most of these girls are from the emerging Matildas teams that we've seen in Victoria picked. So it's a good start by the girls. 2 out of 2, top of the group. So, and well done to all the girls. It was really 2 different squads too, Chief. That was the main point. There was lots of changes between the first game and the second. The heat over there is really difficult conditions. So those girls probably experiencing it from the first time playing competitive international football over there. So obviously it's good to see that most of that girls in those squad have got some football, Chief.
Yeah, and the semi-finals are going to be played on the 27th of August. So if you do happen to be listening to this before those games, keep an eye out on those. Football Australia, I don't think it's being broadcast anywhere, but Football Australia try to keep us up to date with updates throughout the game. So yeah, depends on, we could be in either one of the semi-finals, dependent on how the rest of the games end up. But yeah, one of the games is at 3:30 local time, and the other one's 7:30 local time on the 27th of August. So yeah, just keep an eye out on those ones. But yeah, exciting to see them progress and see if they might be able to win that tournament, which would be really cool.
Yeah, again, the girls, Chief, they're on fire, aren't they? 20s obviously qualifying, 23s win the tournament. Hopefully the 16s can do the same. They're just on all levels, it's women's football. Fantastic to see. It's really coming along, so well done. And hopefully that'll springboard us into the league this year with lots of these players obviously already linked and signed with a lot of these clubs. So well done and good luck to the 16s on Wednesday.
That's our wrap of the national teams. Plenty of exciting things going on. Next, we're going to bring it home by going home. So we'll be back in a sec. Thanks for listening to the Aussie Game podcast. If you enjoy our content, we'd really appreciate you giving us a rating or a review on your preferred podcast platform. And if you do know of any Australian football fans that might enjoy it as well, sharing the podcast would mean a lot to us. All right, let's get back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. And we turn our attention to the Australian Cup. And Chief, what a great start on Tuesday night. What an incredible performance and well-deserved victory from Heidelberg United. They were hot. 4-0, Chief, and absolutely dominated. And could have been more if they'd made some better decisions in the final. And an absolute screamer from Max Bassado. I reckon Heidelberg has been celebrating all week, Chief. And a quote, obviously, from Italiano post-match. Italiano added, if we're going to be on the front foot for the whole season, to play like that is a high risk, high reward. We need to be fit for 90 minutes. That's the most important thing. And then build confidence by playing as many games as we can. The signs have been positive, but obviously if you're going to play like this, you'll get anomaly scores like that. Well, I would have said a lot more, Chief, because they got absolutely smashed. And Heidelberg was well deserving. They were incredible. I want to talk more about Heidelberg. Chief, can they win Australia Cup?
Yeah, of course they can. When we look at, and we will get to the 4 teams in the semi-final, I think you can look at any of those teams that could win it on their day. So, yeah, Heidelberg's in some fantastic form. They've, qualified, for the Australian Championship. Oh, and, yeah, they're just really flying. So, yeah, I think they'll come in here absolutely full of confidence. And, yeah, like, I get Chiefy Italiano's comments, post-game, but Wellington were nowhere near it. They were completely dominated in this match. So, and I know that, Italiano has mentioned about being more expansive throughout what they do, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, they need to close it up at the back because, yeah, Heidelberg were just absolutely rampant, and they, yeah, as I said, they thoroughly deserved it, and yeah, you can't knock them for that at all.
No, they were extremely poor, Chiefs. Just put a line for them. Wellington, they were ordinary. Heidelberg was just fantastic. And what about the scenes after the match? That they are a building. They come obviously second in the NPL. Chief Avondale won it after Heidelberg had a 2-2 draw. Avondale won the NPL league in Melbourne by 4 points, 61 points to Heidelberg's second in 57. So they played so much football too, Chief, in such a short time,
Yeah,
and yet Wellington were just there. And I just can't believe Heidelberg were just momentum and just confidence is just at a super high, and they are going to be a very difficult opponent. That they are A League standard, Chief, by a mile. They just smacked Western Sydney, and they've just gone doubled up on Wellington Phoenix. So, wow, this
I
this
think I
side's on
remember. I
fire.
think I remember during the commentary that they were saying this their 4th game in 11 days.
Yeah,
So
wow.
they're racking up the games, but taking some big scalps and earning some big prizes as they go as well. So it probably said something. There was a small crowd there on the night, but maybe that's understandable given just how much football that they've had to play over recent times. So, just touching quickly on Wellington, we mentioned their defence being pretty poor. They did sign centre back during the week, so yeah, Mandraker James as the team's 5th and final visa player for the upcoming season. So certainly, I think that Italiano will be hopeful that he's going to be able to shore up their defence a bit, but they were very leaky the other night, and they're going to want to be better heading into the A League season.
Oh, absolutely, Chief. And congratulations to yourself, Chief, who
Yeah, for some
tipped
reason
and
you picked Wellington.
oh
So
jeez. I was embarrassed after 15 minutes, don't you worry. But that Chief, that you followed Heidelberg, you tipped them to beat Western Sydney as well. So
yep,
well done to you. You're on fire. But yes, no, I was tail between the legs, mate. I was gone.
I
Um,
do like to stay loyal, but that sometimes that can be to my detriment, as we might find out a bit later.
oh
Um,
well. Anyway, let's go to Wednesday's game, which was total opposite because oh, well, not really total opposite because again, the NPL division winners for Victoria, Avondale, smashed Brisbane City 6-2 in a goals fest.
Yeah,
And
hat
Avon,
trick for Manuluk Agek. Yeah, they dominated in both halves, more early in the parts both sides. Brisbane kind of got back into the game a little bit in the start of the first half, and then they had a little bit of a run, but never really looked like getting back into the game. So yeah, Avondale were so dominant in that one. So yeah, credit to them, and they look very hot prospects coming to the back end of this Australia Cup.
yeah, and well done for Brisbane City. They've struggled in the league this year as well, and to get all the way to the quarterfinals. Credit to their club and well done for the exposure. But as we said, the winners in Melbourne, Avondale, absolutely on fire, 6-2. They're a special team too, and they've got some great talent as well, Chief. And you obviously followed my tip on that one, Chief. We both tipped Avondale, so well done again, Chief. You're 2 out of 2.
2-1 to Chief, and that's it, isn't it? That's
Let's
no.
go over the other side. Come on, what do we? Oh, but the third game, Chief. More drama. Run us through the third game. Sydney FC, there's Auckland. Two top
Um,
teams.
yeah, the 2 top teams, but it was a pretty uninspiring game, I have to say, until Auckland scored late through Lockie Brook, and then Joe Lolly scored 2 minutes later to force extra time. It was a bit of I don't know, bit of feeling in the midfield, but no real clear-cut chances created, not a lot of shots on goal. Yeah, it was a bit of a funny game, but yeah, it certainly came to life very late, and then but even then extra time, there wasn't too much happening. But unfortunately for Sydney FC, two really poor penalties ended up sealing their fate. The first one to Matthias McAllister, unfortunately, was a shocker. Look, he's a young man, and hopefully he's going to bounce back from this, get some good support around him. But he's a very top player, so let's hope that that one blemish doesn't knock his confidence too much. Because Joe Lolly, a seasoned veteran, stepped up just after him and slipped and had his shot go wide as well. But yeah, interesting kind of between the two of them. We're going to talk a little bit more about Sydney FC's recruitment a little later, but I don't know. It's a funny one, Sydney FC. That they've kind of got some good strength in parts, and then weaknesses in other parts. And I think they're still looking to top up their squad. So there's a bit of work to do with them, I think.
Yeah, congratulations to Auckland Chiefs. They've been an absolute asset to the league coming in, and they're performing on all levels, all cups, all games as well. And I thought Sydney FC did well to go with them. I thought credit to Sydney FC, even though it was an uninspiring game. It just goes to show how difficult both teams were to break down. And Sydney FC got a lot of young players there too, so I thought they stood up quite well. Obviously, we'll talk about Paul Ocon a little bit later, but obviously you didn't follow my lead with the tips this one. Tried to
Well,
tell you
well, I
last week,
did.
mate. I
I did.
well,
And
you
then I
should
wanted
have
to be
followed me.
different. I wanted to stand out and be different, yeah.
It cost you, Chief. It cost you 2-all, my friend. And then we moved on to, as I've been saying all along, Chief, and you agreed with me, the moving club this year in the A-League will be Newcastle. And they've just proved it by knocking out your favourite team and cup selection in Metcalfe with a 3-0 win. What
Well, I thought they
a
were gonna
result
move
for
it.
the Jets.
I thought they might be moving a bit slower or a bit later or something, but, they're
I told
certainly
you the young
flying.
guns, Chief. Young guns, the Jets
They're
are on
flying the
fire.
jet. They're
They are
flying the
on
jet.
fire. Yes,
Um
that's it.
Yeah, so they've knocked out the reigning champions, MacArthur Bulls. So goals through Max Burgess, 17-year-old Will Dobson, and Kota Mizunuma. I'm so pleased to see Max Burgess playing again. He was just absolutely frozen out at Sydney FC. What a top player he is. He's not that young anymore. I mean, not for a footballer anyway. He's kind of early 30s, but he is such a great player to watch when he's in form. Just the way he just stands up players on that left foot, and yeah, he's going to be a huge asset. Great pickup for the Newcastle Jets this season, and looking forward to seeing him play. Will Dobson there, yeah, of scoring the 17-year-old, and then the veteran Kota Mizunuma as well. But yeah, plenty of good talent. Alex Badalado started for the Jets, and then Eli Adams came off the bench, providing an assist as well. So yeah, plenty of options up there for Mark Milligan.
And also, too, don't be too disheartened, Macarthur fans. You are knocked out of the cup, but you'll join the Asian Champions League 2, which we broke down last week, coming up before the A-League kicks off. So plenty to look forward to from a Macarthur point of view. And for the Newcastle Jets fans, well, I'm telling you, I said it before, Chief, they are the moving club this year and are showing great signs. The youth is really building, and Mark Milligan, fantastic job into the semi-finals. And Chief, both A-League clubs are going to Melbourne again. So Heidelberg will host Auckland in semi-final number 1, and Avondale will host the Newcastle Jets. What are our tips for this? Wow.
Well, hang on. Let's clarify. You won this round of tipping 3-2.
I
I
didn't
won
want to
the
brag. I didn't want to brag. But yes, I did win, yes.
and I won the round of 16. So yeah, we're 1-1 in that respect. So yeah, let's go semi-finals.
Ooh.
Heidelberg versus Auckland. Who is your tip?
Auckland, Chief. What about yourself? What do you think? Don't just go
Heidel
against me. Oh, you're going to do it.
Heidelberg. Heidelberg.
Heidelberg's toughest opponent coming up in Auckland. What do you think, Chief? 90 minutes, extra time, penalties. Where do you see this? This deserves a big crowd. So everyone down there, get out to this game. But what are you tipping? Injury, extra time, penalties, normal
2
time?
0 2-0 Heidelberg in
Oh,
regular time.
oh, it's going to be hard to break down the Rock of Gibraltar with Auckland. But anyway, all right, look forward to the challenge. What about semi-final number 2, Avondale versus the Jets?
All right, I'll go first in this one so you can copy me. I'm going for the moving club.
Yep, me too. I've got very high hopes. I think Newcastle will be too strong for Avondale, but I think Avondale will put up a very good fight. Do you think they'll do it in 90, Chief, or need extra time or pens?
They'll do it in regular time. Another 2-0 for me.
So you're tipping a Heidelberg versus Newcastle final, and I'm tipping Auckland versus Jets final. Where would that be hosted? We'll have to find out once
Well,
these. Oh,
if it's Auckland, if Auckland win the first semi, they will not host. It'll be the winner of the other semi. And then if Heidelberg win it, I'm not sure what happens there. Well, look, brand new Australia Cup winner, whichever team wins. So that's a huge tick. Great to see. Not one of your traditional. Obviously, Auckland will come in and taking the league by storm. You consider them a big club now, but not one of your traditional bigger clubs.
I'm so proud of all four of them, to be honest. It's so good to see all these four clubs up there. So they deserve big crowds, and I wish them all four the very best, and hopefully we get some cracking football.
Yep, absolutely, mate. All right, so we look forward to those semi-finals. I think there's a bit of a break now before those games take place. So yeah, we'll obviously preview them as we get closer, and then we'll talk about them after they happen. But yeah, exciting end to the Australia Cup. Even though Football Australia might have one of those kind of big draw card teams, but I think it's a nice storyline to have some different winners coming out of that one.
All right, Chief. What's the update? Any news on Western United on the home front?
Well, the last update was that they obviously West United had the right to appeal the decision to strip them of their A-League license. So they've appealed. The appeal has been lodged. That was done on Wednesday night as we're watching some of the Australia Cup action. And Football Australia, they have 8 days, or they had 8 days to respond. So that's going to be Thursday, the 28th of August, which is coming up. So yeah, we're gonna know either way in as we're recording in about 4 days as to what's happening. So I think, it's one of those things where I think everyone now just kind of wants to know what's going to happen. Are we going forward with Western United, or are we looking at them not in the competition? So I think we just need to kind of keep moving this thing forward. I really feel for the fans. A lot of them come out and being very vocal about their passion for the club, and you know, the club themselves have been putting out some stories this week about their first games and their first kind of hit outs and first squads and all those kind of things. And I think it was only like 6 years ago, so it's such a shame about how it's all come about. But yeah, we are going to know their fate in about 4 days' time.
Yeah, look, no one likes to see this happen, but at least, as you said, rightly so, Chief, we'll find out on Thursday. Good luck to all the parties involved, and hopefully there's a good outcome for football community and football fans in that one. Young Jaden Kaczarski, who was released by West United by mutual consent, has signed for Perth Glory, Chief, on a 2-year deal. I think the former Sydney FC product will get some good game time in Perth Glory. They're screaming out for someone like him with some enthusiasm and youth.
But for Kaczarski, I saw during the week that his manager is Shane Smeltz as a player agent, and then obviously his coach is David Zrilich, and he's learning from Adam Taggart over there as well. So got some good striking pedigree around him to be learning from. So I think you know hopefully it's a chance for him. He was another one who probably should have got a bit more time at Sydney FC last season, but didn't. So I really want to see him kick on and thrive at Perth Glory, and I think he has the opportunity to do that.
Yep, massive chance, Chief, and I think he's chosen the right club there. So good luck to him in the future, and well said about the young man. And like you said, plenty of pedigree there to follow and coach and learn off. Chief, let's continue to go around the grounds. What have we got for Adelaide United?
Yeah, so they announced a keeper during the week, a Dutchman, Joshua Smits, on a 2-year deal. They'd let James Delinov go a few weeks back. So yeah, he's going to come in, and they mentioned in the quote about him playing a mentoring role for promising youngsters Max Vituli and Ethan Cox. So yeah, keeper was a big issue for Adelaide United last season. They kind of chopped and changed a fair bit, and none of the keepers really stood out too much. So maybe bringing in a bit of experience is the best thing. And as the statement said, just while you got these youngsters there, and probably give them a game here or there, but you have got that experience to lean on when you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. And continue around the grounds, Chief. What else have we got?
So Auckland FC, we kind of touched on this briefly, I think last week or maybe the week before, about their women's team. So they put out a statement during the week saying the APL, the governing body for the A Leagues, has today, which was the August the 21st, confirmed the decision to delay Auckland FC's entry into the Ninja A League women's competition until the 27-28 season. So disappointing for Auckland FC that they're not going to be able to have a team for a couple of seasons actually. So I thought they might delay it just for one season, but obviously pushed it back two. But some strong statements from Auckland FC. So this is from one of their co-owners, Anna Mowbray. So she said a delay is unfortunate and goes against what we initially intended when we set up Auckland FC, but it doesn't mean we just sit on our hands and wait. We will roll out a series of women's football initiatives, including a new women's football festival and an ambassador program to celebrate and promote the women's game in the community. As a club, we remain committed to a women's team and determined to make it happen. And so you imagine similar to their men's team that, once they do get the green lights to have this women's team, and they're already setting up these programs and academies and initiatives and all these ambassador programs, they're going to be ready to go. They've got 2 years runway, but yeah, exciting to see them come into the competition. But it's a real disappointment that we're not going to be able to see them come in for another couple of years.
Chief, I'd just like to credit Auckland FC. They've got the fingers on the pulse over there on all levels. So what a strong statement to say, and backing it up, still committing to the both ledgers of the game there. So look, credit to the Auckland FC ownership group, and fantastic statement that you've just read out, and I'm fully behind it. I am disappointed too that such a progressive club and willing to invest and willing to put their football on the frontier page is being delayed. It'd be very frustrating for them, and words can't explain I'll bet you how disappointed they are, because they just want to get cracking. And you've seen in the men's side how well structured they are and how well organised they've done to delay it. I think it probably brings more uncertainty about the league than Auckland's position. I think football, with the cost of football, and they've obviously only just made a profit, and obviously the money side of things is obviously playing into this. But overall, I think Auckland, such a progressive club, and should be applauded for what they're trying to do over there. So well done.
Yep, and on the men's side, during the week they signed 28-year-old Sam Cosgrove. We saw him come off the bench last night in their Australia Cup game. So he's scored 7 goals and registered 6 assists across 60 games for Barnsley. So yeah, well, he's a big unit, Sam Cosgrove. So I'm sure that they'll be getting plenty of crosses into the box for him to feed off. And then Ollie Sale, he's joined from Perth Glory. So he was formerly at Wellington Phoenix. So he's gone from Wellington over to Perth and then back to Auckland. So, but he was part of that all white squad that we spoke about earlier in the show. So yeah, good to see him back. He had a bit of a torrid time over there at Perth, so hopefully he's back in some home comforts back in New Zealand.
Definitely. And with Melbourne City, Chief, in the men's, we've got Melbourne City FC can confirm that Yoten Cohen will not be returning, and the 29-year-old etched his name in the folklore in last year's A-League men's grand final, scoring in the 10th minute to deliver what would ultimately prove the championship winning goal. So sad news there for Cohen. He's not returning, the winning goal scorer from last year's grand final. And Chief,
top player. He missed a bit through injury last season, but I think for them it just gives another opportunity for that academy to come through. So they might still replace him with a market or an international player, but yeah, I prefer one of the youngsters to be given a run.
Definitely. I'll definitely feed your thoughts there. And in the women's, Chief, for the Melbourne City, we've got the draw for the Asian Champions League will be held on 11th of September. So the men's was the previous week, and the women's will be announced on 11th September, with the group stage to begin on the 3rd of October. So not much time in between there. But I want you to talk me through the rankings for the AFC Women's Club competition, because they're made up of 70% of AFC club points and 30% of national team points, which puts us in a great position, Chief, as per FIFA rankings. Break it down, that one for me.
Yeah, so it's a bit different to the men's competition. The Asian Champions League for women is quite new, so they don't have a lot of AFC like women's club competition to feed off. So yeah, they're obviously using part of the FIFA rankings as well. And with Melbourne City making the final last season, and then they played against the Chinese team in the final Wuhan, I believe. And then yeah, those combinations mean that we're actually like first and by quite a margin in the points ranking. So I think like you only need to be in the kind of top 7 or so. So we're well and truly fine in that respect. But it does mean that for quite the foreseeable future, we're going to have a guaranteed team, and it looks to be the premiers for the A League women's competition into the Asian Champions League for women. So yeah, pleasing to see that, and yeah, we look forward to the draw being held on the 11th of September. That was a question we spoke about last week. We've done the research and found that one. So yeah, very good from Melbourne
And
City.
and Melbourne City got a strong squad with some recent re-signings last couple of weeks, so they'll be right up there, Chief, and hopefully will avenge last year's loss in the final.
Yeah. Let's touch on Canberra United. We brought last week, not sorry, a few weeks back, we spoke about their kind of position and how they're kind of not guaranteed with the current setup to be going anywhere past this season. So hopefully that gets sorted out during the season. But in some pleasing news, Anthony Jagaranek and Michelle Heyman, they both signed on with the club for the upcoming season. So Michelle Heyman, obviously Matilda, huge influencer in Canberra United. So great to see her back on the books. And then during the week as well, they announced some of their young Matildas, or a young Matildas international, Tegan Bertolicio, central playmakers, Emma Roberts and Bethany Gordon, and the versatile Darcy Malone. So starting to put together a bit of a squad there for the upcoming season, which is good to see. So we do hope that long-term security comes, sooner rather than later. But good to see that they're getting themselves sorted for the upcoming season.
Yeah, they've got the right ambassadors, Chief, so hopefully that's a really strong message. So well done, especially for Michelle Heyman returning back to Canberra there, and we wish them all the best in the year, and hopefully we get some business support up there and they can continue that license in the following season. Over to Perth, Chief. What do we got for the Perth women?
Yeah, so they've done a couple of re-signings as well. So Ella Abdul-Masi and Charlie Wainwright, they've re-signed for the upcoming season. And then they've also locked up Tanika Lala and Ella Lincoln, who have both re-signed with the club. So yeah, pleasing. They've been kind of putting together kind of two to four players a week, building their squad. So it looks like a fair few of the A-League women's teams are starting to get their business in order as the
Well,
season comes up.
Chief, Perth, Theodora, double last night, eh? I'd get the checkbook out. She looks like a young star, so get after her, mate. She's in the NPL, so easy signing for Perth. No hints there, but jump on it. Theodora, she's on fire.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
All right.
Pleasing signs.
Absolutely. Sydney FC, Chief, we've got lots of news. Sydney FC, Talai on Douglas Costa having not returned to training. The update from Talay is we're hopefully gets here as soon as possible, but in the background we're working on alternatives. We can't be left sitting on our hands if things don't go to plan. If it doesn't work out, we'll have to move in another direction. You have put in here, Chief, Mario Balotelli. I've got a couple of names though that are out of contract that might be more interesting than Balotelli, but what are your thoughts on young Mario? Well, he's not young 35-year-old Balotelli.
Well, I think it looks more. I think Sydney FC have actually said no to him. It looks, if he is then going to come, it looks more like he'll go to Western Sydney Wanderers. I don't know. I've kind of flipped and flopped on him. I think I don't want him to come out and be a flop. I could see how our fringe A-League supporters might show a bit more interest because he is a name that everyone knows. But I think in terms of the on-field, I just don't know how much he would offer. Maybe a few highlights here and there, but I think for our league, we do need to just keep developing these young players. And I would hate to see a young player at Western Sydney Wanderers not get a chance because Mario Balotelli is thrown in there. We saw with Wamata this year how much that it just didn't fit what Alan Sturgis was trying to do there. So is this gonna happen again? I know we're talking about Sydney FC, but yeah, it does seem that Balotelli is linked to the Wanderers.
I can't believe though, because there's players out there, Chief, like Danny Ings, 32 from Villa. You know, he's got some good miles in him. Like go for someone a little bit younger, and you know, he's without a contract. Jeez, it's anyway. Well, they might need me on the recruitment team. Quotes from Tele regarding Leo Senna. It's a bit of a mixture with Leo. Mentally and physically, he's not in the place we want him to be. And he knows that as well. Personal issues off the field have hindered his physical side of the game. So we do put our well wishes with Leo Senna that hopefully he can get that right. But it's disappointing because he's a good player who adds value. But we'll see how things pan out the next couple of weeks. So we'll wish him well in that one.
But I mean, with him and if him and Costa do go, and I did mention before about just being uncertain about Sydney in a few spots, they're pretty big misses. I actually thought Senna would combine really well with Paul Ocon Jr. I mean, that Sydney FC midfield, and then Costa did miss a fair few games with injury, but he can spark some things as well. So I don't know. They've got to do a bit of work. One bit of work they did do during the week was they brought in Marcel Tisserand, who's a central defender. And I know we're reading a lot of quotes from Tele, but here's one more. He's not ready yet. He's doing parts of isolated training and some with the group, but physically he's not at the stage where he can play a game right now. So I had to look at Sydney's current centre back. So you got Alex Grant, Alex Popovich, who both started last night in the Australia Cup. And then you got Aaron Gerd, you got Kyle Shaw, who's 21 years old. He played 3 matches last season. We saw Ryan Grant and Joel King both fill in at centre back last season. Hayden Matthews obviously left in January. So they conceded 1.8 goals per match last season. Compare that to Auckland, who they played last night, and Melbourne City, who conceded 1 per match. So it's definitely an area they want to improve. And even in the commentary last night, I think it was Robbie Thompson mentioned, or it might have been Andy Harper, sorry, but the fact that maybe they'll go to a back three, back five and try and really show up that defence. But it's certainly something they need to address that they weren't very good at last season.
Yeah, look, they've signed Marcel. He's quality, and they've got like a good six weeks, so that's enough time to get him fit. So I don't know what he's worried about there with that statement. Last year. That's 1.8. It's a new season, Chief. So just back in the youth, mate, and Marcel will give him the experience.
He's so confident.
Look how much depth's there, kid. How much talent have we seen come out of Sydney FC? Surely they can, just stick to their guns and they'll be fine. There's plenty of good talent there. They matched Auckland's no problem. So I thought they did quite well. I'm all for the youth, Chief, and I think Marcel will be a beautiful addition in there to give them the education they need just to get better. They'll develop more talent, Chief. Don't you worry about that. Sydney FC, there's plenty of talent around. Don't worry about talent. Talent just needs to you'll be right, mate. They've had a good pre-season. They're going well. Just stay faith. Stay with the faith.
All right.
I know he's under pressure, but hey, what's pressure when you're at Sydney FC?
Yeah.
All right, over to the women, Chief. Tori Tamif, captain of the under-23 team, signs for another year, which is a fantastic signing. Sydney FC have bolstered their defensive stocks ahead of the 2025-2026 Ninja A-League women's season with the signing of American-born Philippines international centre-half Madison Asen. Their mate, Chief, this Sydney FC women's side, mate, watch out. They're going to challenge Melbourne City this year.
Wow, that's a huge call.
Mate, look at the young talent coming through, mate. This is unbelievable. This is a team for the future.
Okay.
Hey, I said Newcastle's my moving team in the A-League, Sydney FC in the women. They had a shocker last year, but they'll bounce back.
Well, we are going to do a few specials on the A-League as it gets closer. So, yeah, we'll see if your previews hold true until that time.
Yeah, confidence is high. What about that young nipper Sky, mate? She's fantastic. Don't worry. If she gets some game time, watch out, defenders. Over to Metcalfe, who just got knocked out in the Cup. Chiefs tip. Damien De Silva signs for the upcoming season, so they're just getting stronger, Chiefs. So don't worry. They're in Asian Champions League 2 and got the A-League. They'll be right up there. Don't you worry about that. And Melbourne Victory lost 1-0 to Oakley Cans on Tuesday night. Decent lineup, but they'll be fine. It's only
Am I
early
allowed to be
days.
concerned about Melbourne Victory, or are you gonna set me straight on that one as well?
No, I actually believe that Melbourne Victory have done very little work, Chief. And looking at their side, they've got a lot of work to do. So I'm not sure what's underneath the bonnet.
Yeah, I mean, they've picked up a few that have come in. Looking at that starting lineup, Louis Dorigo coming in, Jelicic coming in as well. Nazarene, I think he's on trial there, maybe. But yeah, I'm not sure about Melbourne Victory next season. They just haven't. I don't know. I think a lot of their a lot of what they've done is a bit of a downgrade on what they had there before. So I just don't know unless they've got some good academy products we're not aware of. But I'm a bit concerned about Melbourne Victory this season.
Why aren't they moving, Chief? What's the go? I don't understand. They've been such a strong club for so long. It just seems to be very slow. Or are they working in the background and they're going to surprise us in September? There is still plenty of time, but you'd want to get a good pre-season in. But for the grand final runners up last year, it's they've lost a lot of players.
Yeah, and obviously, yeah, we had comments about Balotelli and stuff like that, but they don't ever seem to be in conversations about these marquee players anymore. It always seems to be, you know, Sydney or Sydney FC, Western Sydney Wanderers, or Melbourne City. That they used to bring in these kind of more higher profile players, but it just doesn't seem to happen anymore. There's been a lot of criticism about their academy and players coming through. I think we're starting to see that turn a little bit. But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe Melbourne Victory fans can get in touch and tell me that I'm talking nonsense. But yeah, I don't know. Just got a feeling.
Yeah, no, I hear your concerns. So hopefully, Victory have got some signings under their belt. Once again, they do develop young talent very good though, and that's another signature that on the women's side, Chief. They're thrilled to confirm that young Matilda, Alana Jenseski, and Holly Murphy and Sophia Sakalis have all
Holly
re-signed with the
Holly
club.
Furphy, Holly Furphy. Sorry.
Oh, Holly Furphy, sorry, mate. Have re-signed for the club. They're massive signings. Yeah, they're strong players. With
Well, they're all in that under 23 squad.
yeah,
Obviously, Jensevsky and Furphy got those accolades, and Sakalis played a part in the tournament as well. So yeah,
yeah,
good sign.
they'll have another big year. Runners up, obviously the Central Coast in the grand final, so they've got a very strong squad. So I think there's some good signs ahead for the women's football in Melbourne Victory. They've obviously, as you said, they're most recently featured in the under 23. So those three players starred over there. So well done to the girls.
Yeah,
Plenty
and
of
just in some other development news as well. So it looks like Victory and City, for that matter, are going to enter the NPLW competition. So it'll be the under 23s. They'll have to enter an under 23 team in the seniors, and then they'll get an under 20 license from the 2026 season. So that's a good. Yeah, it's taken them a long time to actually get this in place, but it looks to be happening for them, which is pleasing. So that it helps with their development, and they can start to kind of provide an academy that goes all the way through, all the way up to their seniors, which is good.
Yeah, it's a great pyramid to have. You see it in New South Wales with Western Sydney and Sydney FC as well. Newcastle, Central Coast, Macarthur, all in those NPL sides, and that's a great move for a nice little stepping stone for all the girls there. Get more places, more competitions, and you know provides a pool to select from. So massive comment there, Chief. Well done for picking that one up. And
You mentioned there the ability to kind of bring these through and what New South Wales has been able to do. But Western Sydney Wanderers announced during the week that 17-year-old midfielder Nikita Fazari, she's going to be one of those players that's going to come all the way through the academy. So she signed a senior contract, and yeah, they're very pleased to be able to show that pathway for the young girls that come through, and to see that you can start in the academy and come all the way to the first team. So it's a very good sign.
yeah, love those stories. Love those stories, and we're seeing it a lot more, and it's showing in the success on all levels for the Matildas and young Matildas. So, yeah, great pickup and story there, Chief. All right, what else have we got there, buddy?
for the men's team as well. So big news that Marcus Eunice has joined Brøndby during the week. They received a club record fee for that one. So he signed a 4-year deal over there at Brøndby. So yeah, big move for Eunice. He was on loan in Holland last year, but came back to Western Sydney Wanderers. Always plenty of whispers that he wasn't going to stick around for the A-League season, but another talent that we look forward to watching. He was going to be eligible for the Under-20 World Cup, but again, another one of these players that if he's gone over there, I'd say they're not going to want to let him go. So disappointing for selfish reasons that we're not going to see him in the Under-20 World Cup, but a very good move for Eunice.
And Oscar Pressman, Chief 22, is reportedly close to transferring to Motherwell. Is another one. He has 2 years remaining on his contract with Wanderers. What do you know about that transfer?
Yeah, I just saw that pop up. I think this morning that seems to be close to being done. So yeah, he'd obviously join Stamasolopoulos and Johnny Katrumbis over there at Motherwell. So yeah, another good pickup for Motherwell. He's a talented player, but yeah, look at Wanderers need to top up that midfield a bit. You know, they brought in Ugarkovic from Melbourne City, but yeah, they probably need to find a replacement now for Priestman.
Jeez, that's well. Good luck to Oscar. Hopefully that goes well. And yeah, Motherwell are obviously already kicked off in the Scottish Premier League. And Chief, they also had a draw during the week, friendly with the Newcastle Jets. Oscar Fryer scoring for the Jets, and Costa Barbarouses were the goal scorers for a good hit out for both clubs.
All right, for Brisbane Roar, so they've been playing a fair few pre-season friendlies. So they had a 7-0 win over NPL outfit Moreton City Excelsior. Justin Vidic scored 2 goals in that one. And just this afternoon, a massive crowd for a pre-season friendly, almost 8,000 fans on the Sunshine Coast turned up to see them win 2-0 over the Mariners, with Vidic again scoring. He's in some good goal scoring form, Justin Vidic. And James McGarry also scored. So what a great sign for the Raw, getting that many fans turn up to the Sunshine Coast to watch them in a friendly.
That's the second big crowd, Chief, too. So, well done to the Sunshine Coast football community. They're very passionate people up there, and how good's that? That's fantastic news to see footballers alive and well on the coast. It's a
It just shows
definitely.
the potential, doesn't it? Like it's,
Ah,
and a lot of people are saying, you know, there's a big conversation around Suncorp being too big, and when you look at the pictures from this game at the Sunshine Coast, you could see that they wouldn't have been able to fit too many more in that stadium, but just what it looks like, the atmosphere it can build, just having a smaller stadium. So yeah, there's plenty of interest in that kind of format going into Brisbane and how that might look.
Chief, it's an untapped market and a massive growing community up there,
Huge,
population wise.
huge
No
population.
NFL, no rugby league,
No,
no A League. I don't know.
no.
Just saying. Lots of
Yep,
potential.
yep,
Whoever goes to that market first is going to make some early strides.
yep. Also in Brisbane, Marnie Fryer during the week made the decision to move on from football, which has some beautiful quotes in the statement that she released as well. She said, "I just want to be Sean, being her sister. Just want to be Sean's number one supporter wherever she goes, build my family life, and spend my time with the ones I love. Football will always have the best memories for me, but I'm ready to move on. Last year was by far the best year when it has come to my football. I signed my first professional contract with Brisbane Roar, had Sean by my side and scored a back-to-back hat-trick, which I'll never forget. It was an awesome moment, and then I had a dream come true to represent my country as well. So, look, disappointing to lose to Lani to the game, but obviously wish her well in what she plans to do. But yeah, cool that she got to experience that with her sister.
Oh, there's no better stories, are there, than those ones in our football community? That's unreal. So we wish them all both the best in Leonie's obviously endeavour away from football and supporting Sean's in hers. So beautiful story there, Chief, to end on the night.
One more for you. So the Australian Championship. So the fixtures were released during the week. We've had a few more teams qualify as well. So NWS Spirit and Canberra Croatia, they've both qualified over the weekend. So 2 more to add to the Australian Championship, and the full fixtures were released during the week. So the group stage is going to be between the 10th of October and the 16th of November, with the grand final being on the 6th of December. So bit of a look over, a pretty comprehensive look over the draw. Looks to be one Friday night game, the rest on Saturday and Sunday afternoons between 1 p.m. and 4:30. Good time slots to work alongside the A-League, so fans can support both. So you can get out to watch the Australian Championship and kind of get home, or get somewhere to watch the A-League games as well. Heat might be a factor a bit, as we come into the latter stages in particular, with those kind of 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock kickoffs. But I think they've kind of tried their best to work that in well with the A-League. And we hope the Australian Championship is going to be a huge success. I know I've got some fixtures penciled in that I'm looking forward to getting to.
Well, I hope there is some sun, Chief, because I think Australia's had enough of this rain. So let's let's hope there is some sunshine. But I think you're spot on with the time slots. I think there'll be some really good crowds. I'm hoping they are. Can't wait to get out and see the Wolves again in our local community. So yeah, there's some great groups, aren't they? They're fantastic. Well, that's what we want. We want exciting groups, and I think every one of them has great potential. And I reckon a lot of these clubs are going to be well supported in their launch into the Australian Championships.
And as you said before, like so many teams being really competitive and showing their worth in the Australia Cup. A lot of those teams are going to be playing in these Australian Championships, so the standard is going to be quite good. So yeah, we implore everyone to get out there and support as many games as you possibly can, because this only becomes a success if it's supported. So yeah, we'll do our best to bring it to everyone's attention, and hopefully everyone can get out there and support and watch as many games on TV as possible as well.
Absolutely, Chief, and that's a full wrap. What was your big highlight of the week, Chief, overnight, on the weekend, or during the week?
It has to be Nestory Irankunda. Yeah, it's just so exciting to see playing on that stage and doing his thing. I think he's one of these players that's probably had to prove himself at every level, and he certainly started with a flourish over there in the English Championship. And what about yourself, mate?
Oh, how can you go past the two great moments? The under-23s lifting the cup over there in Asia, fantastic for the girls. And on the men's side, yes, how can you go past number 66, Chief? The unconditional love is the meaning of number 66 that the Watford fans have for Mr. Irankunda. The harmony that is just, he's found his place over in the English Championship with the right team and right building club to build his future, and the balance and the precision of that free kick, Chief, in the back of the net. Watch out, Irankunda. He's on fire. So sensational week. I love these moments, Chief, and they're coming every week. It just gets better in Australian football.
Absolutely, mate. Well said. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Aussie Game podcast. We may just be back midweek to break down the Soccer Ashessquad if we get to see that one. So we might have a little mini bonus episode during the week. So keep an eye out for that one. But in the meantime, enjoy your football, and we'll be here same time next week.
Yeah, good luck, and thanks for tuning in, everyone, and good luck for your team. And watch out the Aussies. Go the boys and the girls. They're on fire.